My son's camera monitor alerted in the middle of the night, and at first, I didn't think anything of it. It was just after 3 a.m., which is usually the quietest part of my shift, that weird hour where everything feels slightly off, like the world's just paused for a bit. My phone buzzed once, then again, motion detected, and I remember just looking at it for a second before picking it up, already expecting it to be nothing. My son rolling over, maybe sitting up, maybe talking in his sleep. History, that kind of thing happens all the time. I almost didn't even check it, but I opened the app anyway. And when it loaded, I saw him sitting on the bed. My wife was sitting next to him. And honestly, at first, nothing about that seemed strange. I remember thinking, oh, okay, he must have woken up and gone into his room and she followed him in, which isn't unusual. That happens sometimes, especially that late at night. So I was about to close the app, like I didn't think twice about it, but for some reason I just paused. I don't know what it was exactly. Nothing obvious. It just felt off. They weren't doing anything. That's what stuck with me. They were just sitting there side by side, staring straight at the camera. Not talking, not moving, not reacting to anything. Just staring. And I remember thinking, why are they just sitting like that? Because even if he woke up, even if she went in there, you don't just sit completely still like that, especially not with a kid. There's always some kind of movement. You talk to them, you shift, you adjust, something. But they weren't. The only thing I could see was their breathing, just slow and steady, like nothing was wrong. And somehow that made it worse. And then I started really looking at their faces. And I can't fully explain it, but something about them just didn't look right. Not like they were scared or tired or confused, just blank, completely blank. And the night vision didn't help either. Everything was black and white, and their eyes looked pale, almost like they were reflecting the light from the camera. And because they were staring directly at it, it honestly felt like they were staring straight at me. I remember leaning closer to my phone without even realizing I was doing it. Like if I had looked hard enough, I'd be able to figure out what was wrong. I kept telling myself it was nothing, that I was just tired, that it was late, that my brain was overthinking it. But then I had this thought that I couldn't shake. If they were both in his room, why hadn't she texted me? She always texts me, even for the small things. If he wakes up, if there's something off, anything. But my phone had been completely silent. No messages, nothing. And that's when I felt it properly. Not confusion, not curiosity, just something's wrong. So I closed the app and I called her. It rang a couple of times, and with each ring, I started to feel more and more stupid, like I was about to wake her up over nothing. But then she answered, and her voice was groggy, like she'd just been woken up. And I froze, because that didn't match what I'd just seen at all. I asked if they were okay, and she sounded confused. She said, yeah, why? You woke me up. I asked if she was in bed, and she said, yeah. Where else would I be? I asked if he was with her, and she said, yeah. He came in maybe 10 or 15 minutes ago, and he was right there next to her. I just sat there for a second, trying to line that up in my head with what I'd just seen, because I had just seen them together in his room less than a minute ago. I told her to stay on the phone, and I pulled the camera back up, and I remember this really specific moment where I genuinely hoped the room would be empty. Like I'd open it and it would just be dark, bed empty, nothing there. But it wasn't. They were still sitting there, exactly the same. Same position, same posture, same blank expressions, still staring straight at the camera. I told her I could see her, that she was sitting on his bed with him, and she immediately said, no, I'm not. And I kept telling her, I'm looking at it right now. You're both there. There was this pause, and then she said, hang on. And I could hear her grabbing her phone, and then everything just went quiet. And then I heard it. The sound I've only heard a few times in my life. This really deep, guttural gasp. Not like surprise, not like shock, just pure fear. And then the line went dead. I just sat there staring at my phone, my heart pounding, and I started calling her back immediately, over and over again. Straight to voicemail every time. And every second that passed felt longer than it should have, because now there was no way to explain it. What I saw and what I heard couldn't both be true. And yet they were. Eventually she called me back and she was crying, like properly crying. And I could barely understand what she was saying at first. I told her to slow down, just talk to me. And she said they were in the car, that she grabbed him and left, and they were driving to her parents' house. I asked what happened, and she said she looked at the camera and that wasn't us. Hearing her say that out loud made it real in a way it hadn't been before. She told me when she ran downstairs, she had to pass his room and the door was open and out of the corner of her eye, she thought she saw something sitting on the bed, like a person, but not moving, just sitting there. We both went quiet after that. I told her that she did the right thing, told her to stay there, locked the doors, and she kept asking me if I was going back, and I told her no. But the truth is, I already knew I was going to. The rest of my shift felt like it went on forever. I couldn't focus on anything. Every chance I got, I was checking the camera again, and every single time, they were still there. Same position, same blank stare, like nothing had changed. It didn't matter how long I looked away for or how many times I refreshed it. They were just there. At some point, I started trying to make sense of it. I told myself maybe it was just some kind of glitch, like the camera had frozen or was looping something. So I started watching really closely, like properly paying attention to the smallest details, their breathing, the way their shoulders moved slightly, and then their eyes. I focused on their blinking because if it was a loop, it would repeat. It had to. So I started counting. I don't even know how long I sat there doing that, just staring at my phone, counting seconds between blinks. There was no pattern. It wasn't repeating. It was random, exactly how a real person would blink. And that's when I realized this wasn't a glitch. Whatever I was looking at, it was happening in real time. By the time my shift ended, I felt completely drained. Not even tired, just off. Like something wasn't sitting right in my head anymore. The drive home felt longer than usual. I kept replaying everything over and over again, trying to come up with some kind of explanation that made sense, but nothing did. I told myself I wasn't going to go back inside. I told her I wasn't going to go back inside. But the closer I got to the house, the more that feeling started creeping in again. Not fear this time, something else, curiosity, that need to know what was actually going on. Like if I didn't check, it would just sit in the back of my mind forever. I didn't go alone. I asked a co-worker to come with me. I didn't tell him everything, just enough so he knew something weird was going on. When we pulled up, we both just sat there for a second. The house looks completely normal, quiet, still, like nothing had happened at all. We walked around the outside first, not really saying anything. I don't even know why we did that. It just felt like something we were supposed to do. All the curtains were still drawn, so we couldn't see anything inside. I went to close the garage, and that's when it hit me again. That feeling, stronger this time. Like I needed to go inside, like I had to see it for myself. So we went in. The second we stepped inside, everything felt wrong. The house was too quiet, not empty quiet, just heavy. Like the silence itself was pressing in on you. Every step we took echoed more than it should have. We walked through the kitchen slowly, neither of us talking now. It felt like we shouldn't. Like making noise would somehow make things worse. We stopped at the bottom of the stairs. I pulled out my phone and opened the camera again. They were still there. Same position, same stare, right above us. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. My coworker whispered something like, "This is messed up," but I barely heard him. He put his foot on the first step like he was about to go up, and I just said stop, louder than I meant to. I don't even know why I said it. I just knew we shouldn't go up there. "Forget this," I said. "We're leaving." I turned and started heading back toward the kitchen, and then we heard it, a creak from upstairs, from my son's room. There's a floorboard in there, right in the middle, that's really loud. You can't step on it without hearing it. We've joked about it before, said we'd keep it like that so we'd always know if he was sneaking around when he got older. We both knew that sound, and there was no one supposed to be up there. I didn't think, I just said go, and we ran out the door, down the driveway, straight onto the street. I don't think I've ever moved that fast in my life. The second we stopped, I pulled out my phone again and checked the camera. My son was still sitting on the bed, same position, same stare, but my wife was gone. I remember just staring at the screen, trying to process it. My coworker kept asking me what I was seeing, but I didn't answer. I couldn't, because there was no way to explain it. There were only two possibilities. Either something had been in that room with my son the whole time, or whatever was sitting on that bed wasn't stuck in one place. And neither of those made any sense. We didn't go back inside. There wasn't even a discussion about it. We both knew. We got in the car and left. I kept watching the camera the whole time. Didn't look at anything else, just the screen, waiting. And then, after a few seconds, she was back. Sitting exactly where she had been before, same position, same expression. Like she had never moved. Like she had never been gone at all. We haven't gone back to the house since. My wife refuses to even talk about it. We stayed with her parents for a few nights, tried to act like things were normal, but it doesn't feel normal anymore because I still have the app. Sometimes I open it and they're still there, sitting on the bed, staring, not moving, not reacting, just there. And the worst part is, I don't think they're looking at the camera anymore. I think they're looking at whoever's watching. I don't even know how to explain that one. What do you think that was?